The Phoenix Suns extended their lead over the Dallas Mavericks in Game 2 of their second round series, and the Miami Heat did the same against the Philadelphia 76ers. In the other pair of games, the Memphis Grizzlies and the Boston Celtics both came back from their first game defeat and beat Warriors and the Milwaukee Bucks. So lots to talk about. Let's get started. We'll start off with the Suns and the Mavs, which was the second game yesterday. The Suns winning 129-109. The score might show 20-point difference, but this was a fourth quarter takeover, wasn't it? Chris
Yeah.
Paul going bonkers in the fourth quarter, and this is the third time he's done it this season against the Lakers in 2 games, and now against the Mavs. And then Devin Booker hit three threes, in fact, to just close out the game. It was 93 and 90 at the start of the fourth quarter, and then the Suns just went berserk to show how good the Suns are in clutch moments. After leading in the third quarter, at the end of third quarter, whenever they led the season, they're 52-0. They're not dropped a single game when they've led after the third quarter. Compare that to someone like, say, the Minnesota Timberwolves. They dropped 3 games in one series, so 4 games in one series. So the Suns are showing why they're a championship pedigree team, and they're really sticking by it. They really seem like a team on a mission after the loss last season in the finals. Chris Paul, incredible 14 points in the fourth quarter again. Is the series over? I mean, they look too strong for the Mavs. I expected it a little bit more fight, but it seems like Luka is the only player who's playing on the Mavs.
Yeah, I mean, we all who didn't see this coming.
Of course, but this bad.
Yeah, there is no. So the Suns are this strong.
Mm-hmm.
This we knew, because you get in any given game there is 5 to 8 players who will get double digits or close.
Yeah,
and 2 of them will get somewhere around 25-30 points a game. There's really no matching them. The Mavs, for a while they defended well in the regular season, but that was largely Jason Kidd's the discipline that he instilled in the team. But defending against a team like this is a bridge too far for them right now. They're not able to. I know he didn't go for a lot of points in game 2, but they're not able to handle Ayton. Forget the guards and Ayton's not all that much. He's good, but he's not Embiid or anything. And they're not able to handle him. So they don't have a defense. They have very few people supporting Luka on offense. The thing is, before the series started, there was a lot of noise from the Suns camp. I mean, the fans, that Bridges will shut down Luka, and that is laughable. I said this before the series started. We all knew Luka is way too good for this. But what they have been able to do fairly effectively is absolutely shut out Jalen Brunson. Like, he looks like a G League rookie right now against the Suns defense. And that's it. That gets the job done, apparently, because nobody else is able to step up. Reggie Bullock once in a while will give you a hot night from beyond the perimeter. But that even Jay Crowder will give you. So they've got everything they need, Suns, to match the Mavs. And there's really no offensive production. I don't know what to say. Dinwiddie he's getting a few minutes, but they're effectively closing him down. Brunson's a non-issue. Well, it's just Luka, really. And Luka is the best player in this series so far.
Yep.
Chris Paul, for all his heroics, is still not the best point guard on the floor. Forget the best player. And how many times do you say that about Chris Paul in his career? It's very, very rare that he goes up against this 6'8" behemoth point guard. Broad shoulders, wide arms, strong elbows. It's tough. And that's it. I think this series is one where we just marvel at Luka's brilliance and recognize maybe that on skill, he's probably the second best player in the game behind the Greek Freak right now.
Mm-hmm. Whatever Dallas exploited in round 1, right? What were their strong points against the Utah Jazz? They exploited Donovan Mitchell's defense and Rudy Gobert's offense. I mean, those both are amazing on the other end of the floor. Like, Mitchell is amazing on offense and Gobert is amazing on defense. But at the end of the floor, Mitchell was hardly defending. He does not take enough pride in his defense, I would say. And Gobert he just needs to be under the basket to score. He doesn't have a jump shot. And that has been well covered by the Suns. Like, Booker is one of the fiercest guard defenders you'll get.
Yeah.
Like, he shut down Brunson and Dinwiddie whenever he's on the floor. On the other end of the floor, Ayton, he has a jump shot. I mean, he won't shoot the 3, but he has a decent, fair enough jump shot. He's comfortable outside of the paint as well. Yeah. And that is kind of hurting the Mavs. It's turned out to be a bad matchup because there's no real center in Mavs. Dwight Powell doesn't have that size to match up with Ayton.
Porzingis.
They have Boban if they want to play him, but you play him in a playoff game, it's over right from the start. There is one controversial opinion I think I have, and I don't mean this in a bad sense of way. I mean it more of a compliment. Does Luka's game remind you a lot of James Harden from the 2016-2017 style, where it's a lot of dribble for like 10, 12, 13 seconds and then take a step back three or find an open man. It reminds me a lot of him, and I don't mean it in a bad way. James Harden was an amazing player then,
Yeah,
but
no
it
doubt.
didn't really work out in the playoffs.
I know recency bias won't help my argument, but I think Luka's a much better closer than James Harden. Can't blame him for not closing against the Suns. There's too much for the Mavs, but he's a better closer. He also offers you a ton more in terms of rebounding. And as bad as he is on defense, he's still better than James Harden. So I think similarities in the scoring part of the game. But then again, Harden is a way more inventive offensive operator on the perimeter. Luka's a little more creative inside when he gets. It's something very weird about Luka. Harden could take it to the rim. Luka rarely ever does that, dunking the ball. But it's almost like he languishes his way to the basket. And you can't stop him. He just goes at his own sweet pace. It never looks like he's hustling. It's the same sense you get with Jokic also. They're so skilled with the ball and their vision and their understanding of angles and alleys that they just get to the rim and there's nothing you can do. It just looks like you're watching in slow motion and they do that. So I get the similarities, but I think Luka's a different kind of player, a better closer, and perhaps a more willful passer than Harden. Harden can pass, but he doesn't often become a pass-first player. Only that one season in Brooklyn, and of course that's what the team needed. But Luka he's more like LeBron in that sense. If there's a good pass to be made, he'll make it. He won't force a shot unless he really doesn't have a choice, and that can count against him. We saw that game. Was it game 1 where he threw a Hail Mary to Dinwiddie and he had like 0.2 seconds to get a shot off? That sometimes
the previous
tends to
series
count
against the Jazz.
Yeah, there you go. So that sometimes tends to count against Luka. In moments he assumes that responsibility and maybe doesn't make the right pass, but that's experience. That's LeBron learned that pretty quick. Luka's still getting to grips with it. Maybe it's new teammates, he doesn't trust them as much. LeBron would have made that pass much earlier because he knows there's a double team, he's trapped, there's no way he's getting a shot off. But otherwise he's more LeBron in that sense than James Harden for me.
Yeah, talking about James Harden, wouldn't the Sixers love to have a 2016-2017 James Harden right now? Because right now he sucks. Another game where he was supposed to take charge and where you see Maxey go and score 34 points, Tobias Harris score 21 and James Harden stuck on 20 odd. Here's an interesting stat. This season in a Sixers jersey, he's not taken 20 shots in a single game. This is James Harden you're talking about. If required, he'll take 40 shots if needed. He's taking 15 shots, 14 shots, and you're seeing Maxey go and score 34 points. We spoke about this maybe a couple of months ago. What if he's no longer the James Harden? And I think we have an answer here. He probably is not. I'm ready to write his eulogy saying that, okay, he's a passer now, he's not a scorer. And it's sad to see his sudden decline. I mean, players of that caliber, I like to see them decline slowly as they age. But this has been a sharp decline for James Harden, isn't it?
Him and Westbrook, both. Guards of that caliber, at least Westbrook can never be accused of not taking his fitness and his athleticism seriously. Whatever his flaws, he's always been A+ in terms of readiness for any game. Now, whether he performs or not, that's form, that's age, that's whatever. But he's always brought his best to the table. You can't really say that about James Harden. He pissed away probably a good chunk of his twilight years maybe in nightclubs and strip clubs and that dude's birthday party where a tweet was posted and probably lost a lot of traction there. He doesn't quite seem to be taking care of himself the way he used to, and that's really affecting his game. And maybe this eulogy started from the moment he left Houston, or maybe even that last season in Houston, where in a lot of clutch games Westbrook was the best player on the court, not James Harden, right? And then he goes to Brooklyn. Maybe his flaws were covered up. The cracks were sort of emcealed off by the fact that there was Kyrie and KD on the court and he had players to pass to. And so he became this pass machine. He wasn't getting as many points as before, but you assumed it's because he's sharing the ball a whole lot more and he's becoming a team player, which he did. But maybe that was where the decline started. And now it's on full display, which probably Brooklyn now look incredibly smart for making this move. Getting Ben Simmons, getting anything for this version of James Harden is an achievement. They got Ben Simmons, they got a little bit more, to be honest. James Harden without Embiid on this team is the third best player on this team.
Right.
Behind Maxey and Tobias Harris. And with Embiid, he's fourth. He's barely a starter at this point. Save for their lack of depth. I'd probably experiment with Seth Curry if he continues to play like this.
I still say his playmaking is top notch. I don't complain about his playmaking. His passing is top notch. But he's scoring.
You
He's
don't
brought
get
him for
James.
scoring.
Hey, exactly. You don't get him for his playmaking. You get him
And
for
he's due
scoring.
for a big contract this summer, which I don't know if like he deserves it right now. A few months ago, you would have said, what option do you have? It's James Harden. Why won't you pay him 200 million or 250 million or whatever, right? And it's kind of scary for the Sixers to be in this position right now. This is lowest points per game since his OKC days, which is not surprising, but
Yeah.
also lowest 3-point percentage since his first season, lowest field goal percentage since his rookie season, lowest 3 attempts since 2014-15. This is clearly a decline.
No, it is, and this is probably it. I don't think we're going to see that James Harden come back. Can he evolve to be better? Kind of fit into his new role. Like Chris Paul made that transition some time ago. Incredibly, he's back to being his old self. Yeah, this is a whole yo-yo that he's done. But in between, he made that transition where he's older now, not going to be the lead scorer. He was when he needed to be in previous stints, though he preferred to be a playmaker. Now he's back, but he made that transition, and those years in between in Houston and stuff, he really absorbed and grew into his new role in his age. That is probably the best case scenario for James Harden, because I think he's done. He should have taken that 50 million from Houston for 2 years and then see where it goes. Because on that team, at least you would have a chance of a renewal. I think it's sad to see, but I think this is it. This is bye Harden.
The Heat are unsurprisingly tonal up. We saw this coming. Without Embiid, the Sixers stood no chance, and they were totally outplayed. But are you surprised with the kind of tactics that Doc Rivers has gone in and is still playing DeAndre Jordan, who's horrible on the field? I mean, I know that they both have a history with being on the Clippers, great moments together, but that is like 5-6 years back. DeAndre Jordan is a liability. He's not even like neutral when he's on the floor. He's a liability right now. I know that the Sixers have no backup, but they could have experimented. Play center, play Tobias Harris at the center, play small ball, do something. I mean, this is like you put DeAndre Jordan against Bam Adebayo and like it's over. The series is over there. 2-0 down. It's kind of like he's playing right now to not lose badly, then try something and lose. And how do you see this? Do you think the Sixers pulling even one game back? Embiid's status is not yet known, by the way, for game 3. He might be back, and that will make it a little more interesting.
Yeah.
But if he's not back, do you see the Sixers pulling even one at home?
No, it's a sweep. If he's not back, it's a sweep. They've got no shot. And Doc Rivers, so far, his career looks incredibly suspect. Whenever he doesn't have the absolute best odds in his favor deck in his hand, stacked in his favor. With the Clippers, DeAndre Jordan, you're saying he had a relationship. They had a great regular season run.
Yep.
Postseason, they flamed out. All these guys flamed out. Chris Paul, Blake Griffin, DeAndre Jordan. The Clippers always seem to have 6th man of the year. There was a period where every year it was one of their guys. And they flamed out. And the same happened way earlier. Doc Rivers is well documented, blew 2-3-1 leads, one of them with DeAndre Jordan and Chris Paul and the guys. And he doesn't look very good here either. You don't see aggression. You don't see, like, imagine like a Utah coach in this situation, or Mike Malone or Nick Nurse, any of these guys. They'd throw the kitchen sink at this game. They'd put up 50 more shots than they should. They'll do whatever it takes, experiment with the lineup. Like Ty will, I understand he's there for defense. 21 minutes played, not a shot taken. So then your offense is so entirely ludicrously predictable, right? So you look at their lineup, right, of people who played significant minutes. Kogma's shot 8 times because he's your 3 shooter. So of course he's going to shoot. Tybul was on for 20 plus minutes, didn't take a shot.
Ironically, Ben Simmons passed to Tybul, didn't he?
Exactly.
Gave up that open.
Yeah. Imagine that. What a combo. What a 1-2 punch where neither of them is throwing the punch. It's a 1-2 punch pulled. It's one of those things. I don't know. It's atrocious. I don't get their plan. They're flaming out. It's embarrassing to watch. Maxi is getting 22 shots. Of course, he's going to put up points if he gets 22 shots. Question is, why is he getting 22 shots? It's because James Harden is not that guy anymore, and he seems to be willfully letting it go. He's just like Doc Rivers. He's just let it go. Like he's not the to his credit, Westbrook, however bad his run is, he will pump up he'll pump up that shot volume. No matter what, he's not letting that ball go. And somewhere you need that edge. We talk about Formula 1 drivers all the time. You can't be a nice guy and win in Formula 1. Somewhere you have to have that bit of asshole in you. I'm going to chip his tire. I'll crash into him, but I'm not going to let him overtake me. I don't know. Harden never ever showed that. The moment he gets challenged, he sulks. and then he wants out. Happened in Houston. Either he wants somebody out or he wants out. In Houston, he got everyone shipped out. Dwight Howard came in at his request, shipped him out. Chris Paul came in, his request, shipped him out. Westbrook came in, his request, shipped him out. And he's like, okay, that's 3 strikes. I'm out. Goes to Brooklyn, going get stuff. I'm out. Goes to Philadelphia. He can't leave now. But he sure as fuck can just say, okay, I'm not even gonna try this series. Oh, I can't wait to get back to the strip clubs.
Yeah. How unlucky for Embiid though. He started off his career first 3 seasons flooded with injuries. Then he had that Kawhi, like you say, 700-time bounce ball into the net in that close game in Game 7. And then that whole Ben Simmons saga when things were going fine with him. This season, he came out as an MVP contender, played really great, and then he gets injured. And this time, injury is not even his fault. He got punched in his face, and then before that, he broke his some thumb injury that he had. Not even his fault. And then he sits out for 2 big games against Miami Heat and probably even the series. Who knows? It's unfortunate, but hopefully he'll have a better. He has better years to come. I wouldn't say 1 year.
Yeah, I mean he's still quite young. Some of these guys in these draft classes, they get the raw end of the stick because it's tough being benchmarked against Giannis. It's ludicrously tough to forget the accomplishments, forget the play style, just the dedication and the fitness, and maybe some of that is DNA, but a lot of that is work put in and staying fit all the time. You catch Giannis 1 month into the off season, you bring him to a court, he looks like he's ready to go at any point. Can't say the same about Embiid. Absolutely can't say the same about Anthony Davis. To be honest, can't say the same about Luka or even Jokic for that matter. This season was a little different for Jokic, but there's a lot of these young guys that are not. The one guy who always seems ready, Jason Tatum, and you can see why he's ascending.
Right.
He's the one guy in this whole 22 to 26, 27, whatever mix that's consistently ascending. Donovan Mitchell, for all his work ethic, he's a great guy. But somewhere again, maybe he lacks that asshole switch that Harden lacks. Too much of a nice guy, maybe, and he gets left behind. So he just highlights, and every decade, every generation has these players that serve as examples of how important it is for athletes to first maintain their athleticism, whatever that may be, and be available. Stephen A's got this great quote, right? I don't know, I think it's his original, there. The best ability is availability. If that's not there, then it doesn't matter what else is there. Anthony Davis he's top 5. He's still top 5 when he plays in the game. Yeah, when he plays. The problem is that when he plays is a little too often converted to if he plays. And more often than not, he doesn't play. That's the same problem with Embiid. Now, whether it's his fault or not is whatever. That's debatable. But him, Karl Anthony Towns, all these young players that are supposed to be in the MVP conversation, that are to be ascending. And whenever they play, you see how good they are. And then one of them doesn't have the mental toughness to close out games and believe that he's the best guy on the court. He lets an upstart like Anthony Edwards take over. Another guy, just tough luck. Sometimes it's his own doing, sometimes it's not, but he's never fit. It just goes to show the value of conditioning and preserving one's athleticism. LeBron, Giannis, prime examples. Chris Paul.
Absolutely. With that said, I think that's all on today's episode. We have no games today, surprisingly, but we'll come back tomorrow and talk about the other pair of games. The Bucks and the Celtics. That series has really turned on its head after the second game. The Celtics with a resounding comeback, and the Grizzlies with another resounding comeback against the Warriors. That is physical. That is dirty. That is the playoffs that we want to see.
That Celtics thing was surprising, though. The way they came back, the manner in which they pummeled the Bucks. I really didn't see that coming. I didn't think they had it in them. Now that series is interesting to me. Suddenly, I didn't see this coming at all. Not at this level. Such an emphatic win. By the way, to close out, speaking of stats, we were talking about points per game, and apparently Luka Doncic now is the number one all-time player in playoff points per game. Which I don't know for how many decades that was Jordan. And before that, and I'm guessing Wilt had that stature, which is okay. It's still a certain number of games played, but it's a phenomenal achievement. But let's see it last. But the bigger one that blew my mind, and I saw Nick Wright mention this, both these stats actually, that for how many decades do we go back? 4, 5, maybe 6 decades. Total points, rebounds, assists in the playoffs. Number one all time, very predictably, was Wilt for 6 decades nearly now. Number 2, I think, was Jordan, LeBron in some order. It was these guys. just because of the sheer volume of games played, and then Wilt stats were always ridiculous. So number one, that gets to me because Luka is now number one. He's pushed all of them to number two, including Wilt in his averages and points, rebounds, and assists. That stat blows my mind. It just screams a player ready to take over the league, where Mark Cuban needs to maybe Shark Tank his ass into their boardroom and get something done. But yeah, fascinating stats.
Yeah, it's beautiful to watch. I mean, I know I mentioned that he's a bit of James Harden's kind, but no, I mean, in a way, when he does that isolation basketball, you think of it that way. But when he goes in the basket, he does whatever he wants, gets to a spot, shoots. Hilarious, I mean, outrageous 3-point shoot, 3 points, 2 points, whatever. Whoever is on him, it doesn't matter, right? So that is incredible to watch. Yeah, like you said, he's ready to take on the league. I think Mark Cuban needs to get him some help ASAP before he fades out. So he's still incredibly young, so that's not happening soon either. But on that note, that's all on today's episode. You have a great day, and we'll come back to talk to you tomorrow.
All right, man. Cheers.
Bye.